Okay, in this video I'm going to be solving or helping you to make sure you know how to solve problems that are from your study guide. I'll do each one. I'm going to go at a decent pace, so if you need to pause the video anytime, you can do that. If you need to rewatch it, you can do that. So once again, we're looking at these first 8 problems from your study guide, and I'll do one at a time. First problem is 3/11 times 1/4. When we multiply the numerator times the numerator, denominator times denominator. So we multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. 11 times 4 is 44. There's your first answer. Second problem, it's 1 2/5. We're going to notice this is an addition, so I've taught you that I like you to write the problems out vertically. So 1 2/5 plus 2 6/7. What we need to do is we need to find a common denominator for 7 and 5. 7 and 5, the common denominator that we'll use is 35. So we're turning fifths into 35ths and sevens into 35ths. So we say 5 times what gives us 35? 5 times 7, so 7 times 2 gives us 14. 7 times 5 is 35, so 6 times 5 is 30. And now we need to add, so we say 30 plus 14 is 44 35ths, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so we have an issue here. This is an improper fraction, so we need to turn that into a mixed number. So we say 1 goes into 35 goes into 44. So we're seeing how many times 35 can go into 44. So 35 goes into 44 one time. We keep the denominator the same. So 1 times 35 is 35. And what would we add to it to get to 44? So we would say 9, because 35 plus 9 is 44. So what do we have here? Now we have a mixed number, and we still have our lonely 3 over here. We need to add these together. So 3 plus 1 is 4, and 9 35ths. Okay, next problem, 4 1/5, so it's a subtraction. 4 1/3. I'm going to write it vertically. Subtract 1 2/5. So our first step is find a common denominator. Simple way to find a common denominator, in this case, multiply 5 times 3. Well, 15 is our common denominator. And then we do the math. We say 3 times 5 is 15, so 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15, so 2 times 3 is 6. Now we're going to notice here, you can't subtract 6 from 5. So we need to borrow a whole from the 4. And when we borrow, we're borrowing one whole. In this case, we'll need to borrow 15 15ths, which is one whole. So 5 times 15 is 20 15ths. Now we can subtract. So 20 minus the 6 is 14. 15ths. 3 minus the 1 is 2. 2 4 15ths is your answer. Okay, now we have a wonderful division. So let's do this. So we say 2/9 divided by 1/8. We've learned that we should keep the first fact, change the sign, flip or do the reciprocal of the second. So we say, rewrite it, 2/9 times the reciprocal of 1/8 is 8 over 1. So we say 8 times 2 is 16, 16 ninths. Well, we can't leave 16 ninths. This is improper. So we say, how many times does 9 go into 16? We say 1 time. We keep our denominator. So this denominator slides over. We're making a mixed number. So 9 times 1 is 9, plus what will give me 16, plus 7. So 9 times 1 is 9, plus 7 is 16 ninths. So that is an answer that's in simplest form, lowest terms. So it's 1 7/9. Next problem is multiplication. So we have a 2 5/6 times 3/7. Well, the rule says that we can't leave or we can't multiply anything until this is turned into an improper fraction. So let's turn that into an improper fraction. So we say 2 times 6 is 12, plus 5 is 17/6. So I'm just going to rewrite it. 17/6 times 3/7. One trick we like to use to make the numbers smaller before we multiply is see if they have any common factors diagonally. So they do. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 2 times. Then we multiply straight across like the algorithm tells us to do for multiplication. So we say 17 times 1 is 17. 2 times 7 is 14. This is improper. We need to turn it into a mixed number. So we can't leave it as our answer. So that should not be circled. It's not our answer. So what we do is we say 14 goes into 17. How many times? 1. We keep this denominator. 14 times 1 is 14. What do we have to add to it to get 17? 3. So our answer is 1 3/14. Next question is addition. So we have to write it vertically. So we'll say 10 11/12 plus 5 3/4. We need to find a common denominator. Oftentimes, it's one of the numbers that's already in the denominator. In this case, it's 12. So 11/12 stays 11/12. Or you can say 12 times 1 is 12, so 11 times 1 is 11. Now we're going to turn our fourths into 12ths. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. So 11, now we just add 11 plus 9 is 20 twelfths. 10 plus 5 is 15. We have a problem here. This is an improper fraction. So we have to figure out how many 12s go into 20. So 12 goes into 20 one time. We keep our same denominator. And we say 12 times 1 is 12, plus what will give me 20? Plus 8. So then we have to add our whole number over here to our mixed number. So 15 plus 1 is 16. And 8/12. Well, that's still not perfect because we can reduce the 8/12 by dividing by a common factor, in this case of 4. So 16, 8 divided by 4 is 2, 12 divided by 4 is 3. Our final answer is 16 2/3. Next problem is division. Let's go. 9 1/3 divided by 1/2. You cannot divide until you've turned any mixed number into an improper fraction. So we have to turn this into an improper fraction. We say 3 times 9 is 27, plus 1 is 28/3. I'm just going to rewrite it. 28/3 divided by 1/2. Now we can do the keep the first, change the sign, flip or the reciprocal of the second fact. So we say 28 thirds times 2 over 1. 28 thirds times 2 over 1. Then we multiply straight across because we've turned it into a multiplication. 28 times 2 is 56. Okay, so we have 56 thirds. This is a improper fraction. We got to figure out how many 3's go into 56, and a way you can do that is you just go on your paper, you say 56. How many 3's fit in there? Well, 3 goes in there 1 times for 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. 3 goes into 26 8 times, so it's 18. 3 goes into 56, 18. So 3 times 18 is close to 56, but what exactly is it? So 18 times 3 is 454. What do we have to add to 54 to get us to 56? We have to add 2. So our answer is 18 2/3. I believe this is our last problem. So it's a multiplication. The dot means multiplication. So we say 10 elevenths times 3/4. We multiply straight across. We get 30 over 44. And we can reduce that because they're both even numbers. So if we divide both of these by 2, we get 30 divided by 2 is 15. 44 divided by 2 is 15 20-seconds. So hopefully this video will help you if you're stuck on any of those basic problems.